Hey Internet, what's up? I usually introduce myself, but I realize no one cares. I'm Austin Smith, sometimes known as Raptor7717, and I'm here to review a fountain pen. Usually I review something that is actually recognizable, but this is not as recognizable. This is a Marksman pen. Marksman is a Korean brand of fountain pen, from what I can tell an older Korean brand. And that is about all I found on the internet of these pens that exist. That's about it. See, it says Korea on the back there. It's a fairly cheapy, plasticky kind of feel, but it doesn't feel like modern plastic. It does feel a bit older than that. Anyway, we're going to start at the top here. You see just a plain dome. It's black. It's got a gold band around it right here. And we've got a gold clip with an interesting slit in the middle. The clip is very tight, and it feels like this bit here feels like it can tear your shirt really. Got a gold band at the bottom of the cap there, and a little bit of blackness before we get to a gold ring. Long tapered black barrel, another tiny gold ring at the end, and an end cap that appears to be slightly off center. Maybe someone tried to turn it thinking it was a piston, which it is most definitely not. Anyway, removing the cap, which is a slip cap, we find the nib, which has the Marksman logo. If you can see that, it is a man firing a bow and arrow. Let's see if I can get that better. Now it's sideways. Anyway, the nib looks gold. It does have a bit of springiness, but I don't think it's actually gold. It isn't particularly decorative. You see a little... that's essentially a seal, cap rim, whatever. The section is tapered, fairly long, fairly comfortable. It lets you get down all the way close to the nib or back up a little bit and still feel comfortable in the hand. Here is a little ring that is actually not attached to anything, and as such is easily lost. In the few pictures I found online, that had been lost. This is a Monteverde mini converter. The pen does not come with a converter as far as I can tell. It takes international cartridges. I probably could fit an international long, but I put international short in there. Anyway, when I first got this pen, I thought it was slightly damaged, and as you can see, it's been scratched and such. And when I first got it, it was it didn't like to write very well. But that was because the nib had been altered. Now, it does post. I wouldn't post it very deeply. There is... you probably can't see that, but there is... Actually, it doesn't look like there's much of it in your cap at all. It looks like it's just black. I still wouldn't try and post it very deeply. The plastic is not particularly good. Anyway, let's see if I can... just a second. Okay. Anyway, this is the... you see, I've left it out. That happens sometimes. This is the Marksman pen. I'm assuming it's fine, but I don't actually know. But it writes fairly fine, and the ink is Parker Quink. It's black, obviously. This pen writes fine enough that it actually looks more like a gray. Now let's see the quick. This is not a good writing position for me, so the quick brown fox jumping is not my best writing ever. Wow, that Z looks more like a Y than the Y. Anyway, let's write fast. You can see the table shape. As you can see, the feed keeps up. It's a fairly fine nib, so it's not gushing ink out all the time. Also, this paper is fairly absorbent, so it is kind of pulling the ink down a little bit. But the hard start there was just because I left the pen out for a while. There is not a very good seal in the cap, and so the pen itself is not particularly well sealed. so it doesn't, the ink does not stay dry for the longest amount of time. Now let's see if there's some flex, which there is. That's right, hello. As you can see, it's not much, but for this nib, it goes, it's fairly pronounced. That's more absorbent paper. The line that it actually makes is a little bit thinner if you go over the Clairefontaine or something like that, or Rhodia, some less absorbent paper. Both lines are thinner and there's a less stark difference. I wouldn't flex this pen too much. At first I thought you really needed to push down on it to write, because the tines were misaligned, and I pushed down on it a bit much, and then I realigned the tines, and everything was great. Anyway, interestingly enough, if I hold the pen fairly flat like that, the line, as compared to being up on a less absorbent paper, there is actually a difference. This pen writes much smoother and much bolder. See, there we go, that's a stark difference. So if I hold it straight up, it's much bolder than if I angle it down. Which is interesting. This is probably just a pen that's been used quite a bit. Apparently it traveled from Korea. I haven't found when they were made, but I believe it was some time ago. I believe it was 70s, 80s, or before that these were made. And there isn't much talk about fountain pens in Korea, from what I understand. So it's an interesting find. If you know anything about this, please let me know in a comment or something. But it is a fairly good pen. It does seem fairly sturdy. I have dropped it a couple of times because, well, I'm a clumsy person. And it has not cracked, it hasn't exploded, so it's not like a super cheap disposable kind of pen. It's inexpensive, but it's well constructed. It would have been a good value pen. Yeah, if you can find one for cheap, they probably will be cheap. I would snag it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.